Welcome to the Robcast. This is a show about Oakville, the people that work, live, and do business here. Really excited about today's episode. We've got Jamie Fitzpatrick, who's one of the top entrepreneurs I know. You're not going to want to miss this.
It's the Robcast Podcast. He's with you for the next hour or 20 minutes. Who knows? Let's see how it goes. Here he is. It's Rob Raham.
So let's get going on this. Jamie, so thank you so much for being here today.
Worries.
You know, I want to start to touch because you've got a really long, successful kind of background. So I'm going to put it right over to you.
Yep.
Tell me about your start in business and kind of how you got going and the direction you took.
I will try not to ramble because I have been known to do that. But grew up in BC, was a high school teacher, did that for about 7 years, actually really enjoyed it. And then my sister, who moved out to here, married a guy from Simon Fraser University, they moved out here. He was playing football, and they started the store Housewarmings.
Okay, yeah, know it.
You know it, yeah. Been around 30 plus years, really successful. So, you know, it was always in the back of our mind. My brother and I were both teaching in BC, and honestly, we used to come out in the summer, cottage time. I think we were like having a glass of wine at the end of the dock. This is like obviously a while ago, a couple decades ago. And we just thought, what about a dog store? And at that time,
Just like that?
honestly, like my
Are
sister,
you dog people?
yeah, we've always
Okay.
had dogs.
Yeah.
But we're more entrepreneur people, and you know, I don't know whose idea it was, but you know, my sister and brother-in-law who own Housewarmings, you know, very inventive and smart people, and we were looking to do something outside of the teaching space.
Sure.
And we thought dog store. I know it's a very random, and at that time there really weren't that type of stores.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did you
Yeah.
see like a missing need? That
for
peop-
sure.
Okay.
I mean, that was 2003.
Right. So it was
And
just like Pet Smart, big
Yeah.
box. Not even big boxes then, I don't think.
Not even. It was like you had your food stores. And so we kind of had the idea. We looked at what my sister was doing. We had this idea of like, you know, a store specifically for dogs, a little bit of cat stuff, but like kind of like a Whole Foods, Banana Republic, feel, color block, and Oakville. What a spot to do it.
Nowhere better.
I think at that time, and maybe it's still highest per capita income in Canada, I
Yep.
think, or close. You know, we did it on Lakeshore. Not cheap rent, of course.
No.
But you're either paying for advertising for people to come in your door, or you're paying a rent for coming in your door. So,
Yeah.
and honestly, if speaking candidly, I think 2003, 2004, when we started, it was about $7-8 grand a month rent.
Back then.
Back then, and that was for 2,000 square feet.
Wow.
1,200 was retail, 800 was grooming.
It's a lot of dog food
It's
coming
a
out.
lot of dog. That's
Yeah.
a lot of collars.
Fancy collars.
and it's a lot of biscuits you got to sell.
Yeah.
But you know what? Community really supported us.
Okay.
The crazy part is we were doing renos on the lease. About 3 months, I think, before we opened, another dog store across the street decided to open.
No.
So, and then we were like, what's going on? Anyway, we did our thing. Both stores were very different. We didn't have any real experience with retail other than in my family, but my brother and I didn't. And we just kind of dove in. We dove in.
Where did it grow to? Did you kind of start to sell the franchise? Like, I mean, how big did it get? Was it only in Ontario?
No, it was after it was pretty quick, about a year in, because it had that look and feel to it. It was different than what people had seen.
Yeah.
So people would come in and go, "Oh, is this like an American franchise?" You know, and we're like, "No." And then we finally ran into some franchise consultants who were like, "This is a cool concept." And then we would have people come in and go, "Hey, I'd love to own one of these." So it just kind of it was kind of like a forced way to get us to be like, franchise, okay. What's that?
Yeah,
because we
sure.
hadn't done any of that either.
Yeah.
And so I think we opened one in the Beaches. We opened one on Yonge Street, and then over time we grew it out to 23 locations.
23.
23, and it was coast to coast, and we had one in New Jersey.
Did you guys have kind of final say on what area it would go into? Were people approaching you and you said, no, it's not going to work in Abbotsford or something? Or whatever.
Yeah,
It was Abbotsford into the list, but
it was kind of like a process. Someone, you know, we had a couple in Ottawa, and the one gentleman was from Barhaven, which is a suburb, and we'd be like, okay, let us come and look and see the feel of it, because it's not going to work in some areas, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little higher end. We sold pretty much holistic food, Burberry jackets, collars, you know, some really wild stuff that isn't going to fly anywhere. That being said, though, you really understand how quickly people love their animals and what they're willing to spend on their animals.
Yeah.
So we understood that, and
they're a member of the family. I mean, that's the reality.
so we actually targeted high rent areas.
Okay.
High rent areas.
So you knew the clients, and that was just based on draw, where you knew that if it's high rent, the clientele that's coming is what we want.
You'd run, socioeconomic numbers and just make sure it's the right areas. But, we weren't, it wasn't like we were opening one a month. Over the time, we'd open a couple of years, so we get to really do our research in the areas.
Was there a point within the business where you thought either I want a different challenge, or I want more than this, or I don't know if it was a negative event, or if it's. I mean, I think the franchisers are still going. There's still stores open.
Yeah, it's been sold a couple times. I think Greenhawk, the equestrian store, owns them now.
Okay,
and they've also opened some of them inside their stores. You'll see them all over the place. We got into some stuff that happens in business.
Sure.
And I just decided to exit one day, basically, and my brother did too. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But no, but honestly, the things I had to learn, becoming a retailer and what you have to learn from that process, and then becoming a franchisor. Two completely different businesses, brings its own challenges. But what I learned about entrepreneurship and what we're doing all now, it's like a training ground. It really was, good and bad.
So was there a transition? Did you have an idea? Obviously, you probably just walked away going, I'm going to take some time, spend time with the family and do that. And then what kind of, was there something that inspired you, or something? What was the next idea?
So the blessing of what happened when I kind of walked away, and then I went and did some pet food consulting and worked for a distributor out of Cambridge and was a sales manager for a while and stuff like that. But actually when I left Bark and Fitz, I took about 8 months off, and that's when our son Colby was born. So I literally got to go home for 8 months with Kim, my wife.
Can't replace that time.
And just we were there for 8 months together at home. She was on maternity, so that was cool. That was a really neat process. And then so I started working for this distributor, pet distributor. Kim was in the gerontology community and retirement homes, and she was working. And honestly, we had some debt, and we were kind of working our 9 to 5s. We were both on the road so much. I was a sales manager, and she was traveling to all these homes, and it got to a point where we had 2 young kids and we had a daughter, and we were just never home.
Right.
We were never home, and we were kind of like, and this isn't everyone's path. So I'm not I think there's some days as an entrepreneur I'm like, 9 to 5 would sure be nice today.
It would sure checks coming nice down the pipeline every day,
just
right?
shut off at 5 o'clock. That thought goes through my mind. So it's not all cinnamon and rainbows all the time.
Yeah.
But we were having other people raise our children. Again, disclaimer, not a bad thing, but that's not where we wanted to go. And so I started kind of researching some things and looking in the online space, because that always interested me. I'd lost about 50, 60 pounds at one time from P90X, which is a Tony Horton.
To it.
It's the most famous program out there, Yeah. And when I was overweight, I didn't want to go to the gym. I was intimidated, like a lot of people. So I was working out in my basement. And from that opportunity, there was this coaching and you could do and a direct sales business from it. So I kind of...
Let me start doing that. I just want to pull you back. Was there something about that I've got to make a change at that point? Or you were just like... Because you're a big athlete. You're a big hockey player. You're growing up, right? And just like any parent out there, I'm sure watching or gone through it, it happens, right? The focus goes on the kids, off of you.
Yeah, I played college basketball, was a big hockey guy, and so I was athletic going up. But look, let's be honest. We all have our traumas. We all have our shit. And, over the years, I didn't always treat myself the best and abused myself in different ways. And so I had a lot of weight fluctuation like that. And we'll get to the other thing that happened because that plays into that too. But, I just, and like you said, it's not an excuse, but you have kids and you start to just numb yourself and you're exhausted and pizza's delicious, as is beer. And
it's easy, man.
It's easy, and as you get older, that metabolism slows down. And so, I got to a point where I was just, you just
got to make a change.
Your kids are there and you look at them and you're like, I got to be around for a while.
And I even found for me, it's just the energy. When you're trying to chase them around when they're getting older, you're going, wait a minute.
Yeah. And so I started that, and that was a real impetus for starting our direct sales business through Beachbody.
Okay.
And we've been doing that for 10 years now. It's been a great source of income. It's been a great way to keep ourselves accountable. I'm more I started it, and then my wife came in and did it with me. Now she's more of the face of it, and I do the behind the scenes stuff. But literally, like, I'm really proud. We've literally helped thousands of people.
With the Beachbody, I've watched you. I've seen videos. I've seen
you
things.
followed it.
You're on like the top 5 and top in North America. Like, this is not just a small thing, and there's thousands of people who are doing this.
Yeah.
The question I had for is, they must have something in place, the coaching guides, to not only with your coaching but with your business. So was that kind of the first e-commerce lessons you learned, and they kind of laid some things out for you?
Well, the shocking part for me is coming from a retail background where you're buying a product and then pricing it somewhere where you think, and that's a whole other topic we can talk about, is how you price products. But coming from where you have to spend money with a supplier, you bring in the product, you're paying rent, you're paying employees, you have to sell that to make a profit. Maybe you're advertising, you're paying rent, and all those. The lights got to come on. All that comes with retail.
So much overhead.
All that comes with it. That's the world I came from, and then I entered into this e-commerce space, and I was like, so I don't pay rent anywhere. I can use my phone to build my business. I can use social media. At that time, it was just Facebook. Obviously, now it's Instagram and TikTok and all those things. I don't have to spend money on advertising. The social media is the advertise. There's no rent. I can do this from my house. I can do it while I have my full-time job. So Kim and I we always used to say, like, my job, my current 9-to-5 job, when I was consulting for the pet food company, as a sales manager, we always said that was funding our dream. That was funding our next dream. Not that we were great employees. I did my job well. I wasn't just slacking. Yeah. But to be able to have that income coming in while we built these other things in the background.
Must help with the job as well. If you have tougher days, you go, no, this is funding our dream, right?
So that's how we always viewed it, and it was a lot of work. We had a 3 and a 6-year-old when we started that first e-com business, and you know how that goes. I just stopped doing other stuff. I stopped playing fantasy, whatever. I stopped playing hockey for a while. I stopped all the things that. And so there's sacrifice and there's trade-offs to that, you know, and I was okay with those things. I was loving it. And so, it's been 10 years. Yeah.
No, when was the point where you're like, we've got something here, and the incomes are the potential income's going to be where we want it to be, and I can walk away from my 9-to-5? And was that a cool day or not?
Yeah, it was pretty quick in the sense that, you know, I'd had some leadership opportunities in my life, even in schooling. I had some leadership stuff, so I was kind of strong in that area, so that lent well to that. And I remember the first $1,000 week we had on the side hustle, if that's what you want to. I hate that word actually, but if that's what you want to call it, hustle's not a bad word, by the way. Yeah. But and when I had my first $1,000 week, I was like, "Oh, Kim, there's something here. Let's something here." And she was like, "Oh, you know," and so. And I always tell, and a lot of times in these e-commerce businesses, especially on social media platforms, it's a lot of women that start these. And sometimes you don't have a supportive spouse. And I get that, because sometimes you think they're scrolling, but it's like, sometimes you got to prove it in the paycheck.
Yeah.
You got to show
100%.
You got to show people, no, this is actually working. And the work you see me putting in, there's something come out of that. And sometimes that's what it takes for people to understand, you know?
Yeah. So a lot of people are going down this road where they're working their 9-to-5 job. They've got something on the side that's starting to come to fruition. And usually in most cases, there's some type of number that comes along where they say, I've got this to here. That's going to allow me to leave this. Is that the same case you had when you were kind of starting up this startup and still working the 9-to-5?
Yeah, like, and going back and thinking about it with 2 young kids, so you want to be responsible about it, and you know, we both had these jobs. I decided, like, okay, as we moved through, got through year 1, got through year 2, as we moved into year 3, I had a number where it was kind of like, okay, if we can match or if we can 3x our combined income. If we can 3x it, one of us can leave our job. Because the way and everyone has different risk tolerance. I have a big risk tolerance. I don't fear that stuff as much.
Okay.
And we can get into manifestation and money blocks and all the stuff that, like, makes us who we are and how we were raised and all those things. I've never feared those things. And so I always thought, worst case scenario, I can go get a job somewhere. I can do shit. I've got my stuff.
Yeah.
But there was like a 3-4x of our combined income before one of us, and I actually walked.
That's a big number.
It's a big number. Yeah. I was like maybe that's more conservative, but I was like, one day I came in the house and Kim was on the couch, and I said, hey, if you want to put in your notice, you can put in your notice. And that was a cool day.
You get the goosebumps.
Yeah,
going,
and then about 6 months after, I did the same.
You did
thing.
as well.
Yeah, so we did it staggered. And but like, listen, I don't want to paint a picture like this is what happens for everybody, because it's, and we were talking about this off camera. Like, I don't believe everything is for everyone, and there's talent, there's work ethic, there's X factor. There's some people don't understand certain businesses. I have a ton of weaknesses. I have a ton of blind spots. That's one of my strengths, is that I am very self-aware to know that I can't do that. So I'm either going to stay away from that or hire someone who's really good at that to do that for me.
Do you find, I mean, obviously your wife is one of your main business partners across the board. I mean, it's which is special.
Yes.
Is there kind of a counterbalance with some of the strengths? And I mean, I know you're trying to pull back now, I believe, and become the front of it, because Kim has just risen like a star in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, she's got there's something about Kim, right? And
got the it factor.
She got the it factor. And
not to say you don't.
No, I get it. I get it. I didn't take that as an insult.
Yeah.
I think, being self-aware and when you're married to someone who's your business partner, you kind of like, hey, you're really good at that. I'm really good at this. And we kind of fill the gaps, just like you're taking care of a household.
Sure.
We all have things to do with the kids and the house.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
For the business, you each manage the things that you're best at. That's at least how I would look at it. And the things that I'm good at, let me handle those. Kim, you're good at certain things. Some things you have to both do. But that's always been sort of my attitude about it.
The one thing I think that's one of the keys to your success that I've realized of the years that we've talked to each other is you had this kind of golden egg thing, and it was growing, but you didn't stop there.
No.
You thought, and I think one of the keys to your success is your diversification of your businesses and your ideas. And you now, through the process of going through these kind of e-commerce startups, the pitfalls of them.
Sure.
Or the upsides too.
The upsides too. And I mean the biggest advantage, I think, of e-com, there are just so many opportunities out there now to do it. And I think your financial risk is fairly low on a lot of these. So I think that's why you get so many people that try them. It's why you also have a lot of people that doesn't work for them.
Yeah.
So you have this mass influx of people, and they're not all in. There's no skin in the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally for our 10-year business now, like you can literally start your business for $200. That's good and bad. Good because you have a lot of people who can afford it. Bad because there's a lot of people who just don't treat it like a real business.
That's right.
And the difference for me is, like, I literally treated this new e-com business, which it was only $50 for me because I was using all the products. I treated it the same as Bark and Fitz, which was like $250,000 investment.
Yeah,
I treated it the same way because it's the same amount of time. It's just you can't treat the investment, treat the opportunity.
It's interesting. I mean, when you come back to the world of real estate, like this is similar. It's not e-commerce, but we're our own thing. We're our own independent contractors. And how many countless times you see somebody come into this industry, have some quick success, and go, oh, then a new BMW shows up, not realizing that half the money they just made is going back somewhere.
Yep.
Right. So I think that just some of the stories you're telling, it reigns true with my business as well.
And even
you have to treat it like a business. You have to, because no one's making you get up and put pants on in the morning if you don't want to. But if you want to be successful, you have to have routines. You have to have structure, even though you're at home and you're a little bit, seems like you have more time.
Well, you have to. It's funny. Kim and I were talking about this. I think the enemy for a lot of people in these types of situations is you have to be fully accountable yourself to your own success. And I call them ego protectors for people. You really want to protect your ego, and it's easy to look outside and blame people, things, events, your past, how you grew up. Someone who's not doing what they should be doing.
Outside sources, it's not me.
Outside sources, not me, and that's an ego protector because it's really hard for people to be like, oh God, maybe it's me.
I struggle with it. We all struggle with it.
We all do,
So you've had great success in the first avenue you got into with e-commerce, but now one of the things that maybe a lot of people don't know is you have diversified.
Sure.
So tell me about some of those other businesses you've started up and why you started them up.
Yeah, I mean, the direct sales business is great. We get to help a lot of people not only start their own business, but just with their wellness and their all that stuff, their nutrition, all that stuff. But that's not quote unquote our own company, and you're sort of we're using other people's systems and stuff. That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of positives about that. So, if full line of what we do, we got into, Kim, and I don't want to tell Kim's story because it's, with her birth mom who passed away, but it's a real driving force for her. And she started a headband line, Legacy by Kim. And then she's got into, she's an author of a journal she started. We were now renting a little space downtown Burlington, and we use that to ship out our products. Plus we can host people. They can rent the space from us. Cool. It's really nice. Yeah. Now we're doing retreats. So Kim will host workshops and conferences and retreats in the space for like 10, 15 women.
Did all these things start to kind of come quickly? Like they just, once you started going outside?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, because you got hit with a pretty life-changing event.
Yeah. So I think what happens is as you start these businesses, you develop these skills that you didn't know you had, and some you did know you have, and quickly you develop your leadership skills and your e-com skills and social media skills and email lists and funnels and all these processes. We all start not knowing anything. You just have to learn and dive into stuff, And so I think from there we realized, we've got these certain skill sets we can use, and Kim is a person.
You leverage
it, absolutely. And we have these personal development junkies, and you get into that, and then we just realized, we can help other people with their life and habits and routine and how you lead your family, your relationship, your marriage. Not that we're marriage counselors, your business, you know. And so you just we started adding on these other avenues of income.
So
and
did they come naturally then? It felt kind of natural the way it was moved, or just was?
It's literally like Kim's like, I would love to do a headband line. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And but here's what, and this is, I don't want to get too like woo woo on you.
Yeah.
But we're big believers in if you put stuff out in the universe positively, with abundance, things will come to you. You can attract certain things. Yeah. That's a whole other thing, but and then we were looking for textile people and who could actually make them. We found some people, and we were like, okay, help us develop a headband. And we developed this line of headbands, and it's been almost 4 years now. And then like a journal, Kim wants to write a journal. Okay, what would page one look like? And you just start like this. It's not that complicated, you know. Find a publisher, look up a publisher, all those things.
But I think what the difference is a lot of people have great ideas. They just don't know how to put them into a fruition. And where you now have got this great experience where you kind of say, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. What would that look like? And now you're starting to use all these tools you've learned along the way from retail, from all the sales jobs, from everything to kind of put together. And would you say you've kind of got a formula now?
Yeah, I think the formula from the business technical side is you need clients, you need customers, right? You need to communicate with those customers through email, social media. That's the formula we have down. We have a business manager. We have people that work for us now that do all these things. So the formula is gathering info from people and then really communicating with them properly.
Right.
And then having the systems in place, the links in place, the payment systems in place to, if they want your services, this is how they can do all that stuff. So that's the expertise that comes in. But adding on the layers of new business and entrepreneurship, man, it's really as simple as like, you're scared, do it anyway.
Right.
I'm not saying go sink 300,000 into a crazy idea. I'm not saying that either. There's a lot of stuff you can do out there that's really affordable. But you don't know what you're doing.
Just go for it.
I know, do it anyway. Yeah. Oh, you're not sure where you're going to rent or how you're going to do it anyway. Start the process anyway. Figure it out. And that's the cool part about life.
Absolutely. But a lot of people don't have the fear or are too scared to take that jump.
And maybe that's confidence. Maybe that's, and I think confidence comes from trying and failing and learning and growing. And after, Bark and Fitz didn't necessarily end that well for us.
Right.
I could have got super gun shy, but I just was like, I loved the feeling of creation and doing that stuff.
So everything's moving in this direction. It sounds like this really positive wave. And again, I'm not trying to bang this thing, but it's an important thing.
We can talk about it.
Something happened in your life that changed things profoundly.
Yeah, and I don't want to use up all the time on this because it's a really, it's so funny. I actually don't talk about it that much with people, not because it's very cathartic for me actually to talk about it.
Sure.
And I tell women, but I mostly tell men all the time I can, just like get their heart checked, and I try to be an advocate for it, right? But yeah, 2019, right before COVID, right before COVID. Everything was going great. And I was getting these, and this is a good PSA for people, so I'm going to talk about it.
Okay, good.
I was getting these chest pains, classic symptoms, numb fingers, chest pain. Went to the doctor. I'm going to scare some people, but that's not the point of this. No one did anything wrong, but they actually cleared me. Like, they were like, no, you're good to go.
Chest pains and numb fingers are just normal?
Well, I went through all the normal tests.
All the tests.
I went through all the tests.
Yeah.
And about I don't know the exact time, month and a half, 2 months after. It was a Sunday. That's the only reason I'm still here, by the way, is because it was a Sunday, because the kids weren't in school. And Kim was on a call on a Sunday afternoon with her team and organization on a Zoom call. She was in the basement. Typically, it's just her and I in the house, and my daughter was home. She asked me to go, and she was 8 at the time, and she asked me to go get something for her. I never came back. She came looking for me, and she found me on the floor in the foyer, not just a heart. So the crazy part is I was having the heart attack month or two. That's the pain I was having. That's the heart attack. The cardiac arrest is the cardiac arrest. Your heart stops. So she had to have found me pretty quick, because you don't make it. If it's
not that much time without oxygen.
There's not much time. And I was VSA, vital signs absent. And,
oh my God.
And so Tessa, my daughter, went and got Kim, my wife. Kim came up. Kim's a trooper. She knows what she's doing. Being in the retirement community, she's seen this happen before. She has CPR training, so she did compressions on me for about 9 minutes.
Crazy.
And I wasn't coming around. So
she's waiting for the ambulance.
I tell people like just sit in a quiet room for 9 minutes, and time yourself for 9, and just sit there it's a long time. Then add on the fact that you're doing that to your spouse, and I'm not trying to trigger anyone, because this happens a lot for people, and some people don't have my result. Yep. So. So she finally, a fireman, his name's Josh, a friend now, he showed up, and they, whatever paddles he had, and they brought me back in my living room. And within, I think it was about 90 minutes, I think I went to Hamilton General first, then Joseph Brandt. They had a stent, they put a stent through me, and in about 90 minutes I had the stent, and I don't remember anything, by the way. So I don't remember the 2 days before that day. They put me in a coma because I was overheating, and then the 5 days after in the hospital, I don't remember really anything.
Unbelievable.
So there's not a lot of trauma for me. Like I know what happened to me, but oftentimes I'm like, who did it happen to?
Yeah.
It's like, Kim had some stuff to sort out. Clearly. Clearly. But she's
9 minutes.
She's a tough lady, and Tess is good, because everyone told Tess you saved your dad. So there's a confidence there, for her.
Yeah, you've already got the daddy-daughter thing going, right?
Yeah,
so then you've got that connection.
And she's got Kim's personality. She's loud out there, she's full of confidence. So no, it's all good. It's just I tell that story, and I'm glad we're talking about it, because men, we can be a little stubborn.
Absolutely.
And it's just, I tell all my buddies, just go
prideful.
Just go get checked out. Just get checked out.
Good lesson for all of us.
So yeah, so that happened.
How old were you when it happened?
I was 46.
46.
Yeah, 46.
So this has happened. I'm sure there was time of let's stop and let's
healed.
I got to get healed, and I don't know what that process was like, but the impact you could say after that, did it change? Obviously, it changed you, but how did it change you?
I got asked this question twice last week at my son's football practice, and
wow.
No, because people are curious, right? And they're like, "Can I talk about this with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure," because people don't know how sensitive you can be about this stuff, and I'm really an open book, but. I never want to give like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the typical answer, right? Oh, life is short, and it is. We all know that. I think my perspective, the biggest thing for me is I have because I can't explain it to someone unless you've been through this. I have a very acute perception of time.
Interesting.
And how each day, again, I don't want to come across cliche or corny. Each minute, this experience with you right now, what we're doing here, this is important to me. This is like, I'm taking this in a different way.
It's like the acute way of time and how you value that now. Like every second.
And like it's important, and this means something. We don't know what it necessarily means, and
couldn't agree more.
And I have a very acute sense of a family dinner is different, and staring across the way at my daughter is different. It's just there is an appreciation of people and time. And I'm very aware that none of us are making out of here. So you better lock into what you want, desire, love, and just grab it. It's
awesome.
Really important.
It's awesome advice.
Was that too cliche?
No, I think you hit it hard. I mean, it's an emotional thing. It's got to come from an emotional place.
Yeah, yeah. It's and I say I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but in an odd way, man, what a lesson.
Game changer.
What a lesson.
Yeah. So we've covered a lot about your business this year and all these experiences you've had. So where does it all amalgamate? Where does it all lead to your present right now and where you want things to go in the future?
Yeah, I think, you know,
or where you see things going in the future.
sure.
Sorry.
And with the personal stuff that's happened to me and, you know, through the businesses and we just launched another sort of consulting coaching business too. I think at the end of the day, for Kim and I, we just kind of want to help. I know we've used this cliche thing again. We really are focused on helping people more energy. I think energy is everything for people. Obviously, the physical wellness is important. We all know this, but I think the other part of that is we really do have a mental health crisis happening right now, coming out of what everyone's come out the last few years. And I think people are now really I hope they're starting to understand that this physical wellness, this mental wellness, this spiritual wellness,
It's all connected.
It's very much connected to each other. And so, you know, I think for our businesses that we run and the future ones that we're going to do will very much be tied to all those components. We really want to help people with their habits because that's where everything starts, is your habits. And like, you know, I got a soft spot for dads. I got a soft spot for parents, you know, and if we can help those people with their habits and what they're doing, and again, touching on that mental health piece, life's not always easy. If we can focus our businesses I think that feels good to us.
Does it stem from, I mean, obviously you've got these great networks and you have all these conversations with all these people around the world. Like, does it kind of stem from a little bit of your own feeling internally that, you know, that's the way you can make a difference? And is there also you're seeing a need out there? Like, you're seeing people start to reach out more to a point where you go, we can do something here to.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it's both. And, you know, I won't BS anyone. I've got my own stuff, you know.
We all do.
And we all do. And
it's ups, it's down. You're just trying to find.
Oh, I'm constantly trying to win the day. I'm battling each day, you know, and I'm trying to make the right choices. I'm trying to take care of myself because I got 2 kids and a wife and a family and friends and people and businesses and all the stuff that we all talk about. And so I use my own experience from that. And I think Kim's the same way. She's got her own stuff because we're all humans living a human experience. And that's part of the process. But I think we can be advocates and leaders in that space because we have experience. We have business experience. We have personal experience. And we now have a following through what we've done and through the businesses and the networks and all that. We do have a following, email, social media, all that. We do have people coming to us.
Yeah.
And we're on different mediums, you know, we're on the social media. We have our own podcast and different social media stuff like that. So we do have an audience.
Yeah.
We're aware of the audience. We just have to make sure we're connecting with them and communicating with them properly.
So what are some of the things that you're implementing now moving forward? Like, so what are some of the new ideas for your businesses that you're offering people that you're excited about right now?
Well, we're sitting here doing this.
Sure.
This is part of the process we'd love to do. We do just audio right now, which is cool. We now, I guess, have a retreat company too. Kim ran a retreat in Costa Rica last year. We're doing another one next year. And now we're going to do more Oakville focused, Burling focused retreats where people can come in, couple night retreats, focus on personal growth, business development, stuff like that. Yeah. So we're really excited about that because e-commerce is great. Zoom calls are great, but man, you can't get an energy from in-person stuff. And I think we need that.
100%
we need that, you know?
A lot of people working from home these days, right? They've been isolated, right? Like going for a walk is sometimes not enough. It's the human interaction that becomes
absolutely. So I think that's where we're focused on. I think there's a real big opportunity on LinkedIn for us because we haven't even really tapped that market for us.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a silent beast there. I know a lot of people tap into that. But you can do so much on that platform now. I know people are so like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, you know, there's a lot of different avenues out there, but I think LinkedIn is the next one we can really look at to help people because I think, you know, there's a lot of people out there who are busy with their job. If you want to call it busy, full, whatever you want to call it. I think because Kim and I have both been in the corporate world before, we've been in the entrepreneurial world before, we've also been employees both before, there's an avenue there that we can really help corporate people. And I'm not talking about X amount of money they're making or anything like that, but I think we can help other people who maybe are successful in these categories, but maybe there's a gap in their wellness space that we can really tap into.
It's interesting. I saw kind of a quote that, you work your whole life, if you were to pass away, it's devastating to the people that love you and that are around your family. But the job that you worked for 30 years puts up a posting, and 3 weeks later, you're replaced.
Yep.
And so that hit me pretty hard to go,
Yeah.
There's a lot more to this, right?
I think what happens is like I had to hit a personal low physically with the weight and everything for me to be like, for the switch to click and go, hold on a sec, dude. You got to change some things up, right? You can only motivate someone. Hey, go do that. Yeah, it only works so much. Motivation is temporary. We all know that. You have to hit a point in your life that it becomes glaringly clear that I got to change what I'm doing, or else this is going to go sideways badly. So I'm really focused on my own personal health, because I understand that through my personal health, we can talk more about that if you want. Through my personal health, my mental health starts to become clear and rise. And that's at the end of the day, my mental health is really the most important thing to me. But to get to there, I think it's through physical health. It's through what you're putting in your body, in your mind, what you're reading, what your nutrition, all that. That's the avenue to mental health. I really believe that. And I'm not, I think there's things out there that you can't control. We try to control the controllable. I think, I'm not saying that, eating properly cures everyone's diseases and I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
But I know for me, if I overdrink, if I overeat the bad stuff and all that things, my anxiety's worse the next day. I start to worry more about that stuff.
And that's a battle for people, because even if they have really good routines, I could have the one night, but the feeling you have after it, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of the trade-offs that you have to decide.
I'm going to talk about this really quickly, and not to freak people out, but I shared my experience on Instagram and my stories. I did a 7-day water fast. Just water for 7 days.
Must have gone to some interesting places on that trip.
This is about 3 months ago. Well, 2.5 months ago. And I'm a big faster. And again, disclaimer, go to your doctor. Don't just fast right away. You won't be able to do it anyway, because you'll want to eat pizza at the end of the night. But do some research on it. Go to your doctor. Get cleared for that. But I'm a big intermittent faster. I believe there's a lot of benefits to it. But I did a 7-day water fast. And I'm telling you something. The biggest benefit I found from that was I got really aware of food and what it does to my body. Because on day 4 or 5, I was so hyper clear, focused, almost like I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It was like I was on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing in my body affecting me. It was just me and my. And there's a lot of research on anti-cancer stuff, and it's good for anti-aging when you fast and stuff. Again, do your own research. But by day 6, I was like, whoa, you're almost on a different high. You're looking at
the Joshua tree down.
Oh, you're looking at things very differently. And it was a really good experience for me, because then once you start eating food, which we all have to eat,
So once you came back off the fast, you could tell acutely what was happening with the food you're putting in you.
Yeah, and I didn't go order, pizza right away. I gradually protein and a shake, and you're smart about it. But I became hyper aware of food and what it does to my body. It's crazy. It was crazy. I a lot of people be like, I could never do that. Well, if you don't think you can do it, you won't do it.
Yeah.
But it's just a little mental willpower and stuff.
So we've gone on a number of different directions here today, and I love everything you've got to bring to the table. For everyone that's watching here, as the young entrepreneurs, you've been through a lot. You've been through the bricks and mortar. You've been through the e-commerce. We've heard you say already, just do it, not to take the Nike thing, but just if there's something that you could look at those people and say in your experiences that, they've got an idea, I don't know how to get started, or what's the best way? Is there something that you could, or a couple ideas that you could say to them?
Yeah, I think you have to, the biggest thing probably, and this is going to be maybe not make sense, and it's because even as I'm thinking about it, it's going to be a hard one to answer, but I think your intuition is your greatest asset. Your people's mind and their imagination of what you can create is really, it's your biggest asset, is what your mind can create. People aren't even aware what you can create. And I think if you can learn to trust your intuition with the risk, and if this isn't just a free-for-all, just, don't see your family for 8 months and go start something in Africa. I'm not saying that. There's got to be some checks and balances and some reasonableness on this. And we all know this, how short and fleeting life is. I think your intuition is a massive part of your makeup. And I think people sometimes maybe, I don't say they ignore that, but maybe they're not aware of the power.
The little voice talking to you.
It's there for a reason, and it's good and bad sometimes. You know, you have to push the bad one away sometimes and listen to the person who's trying to help you. And I just think if something keeps coming up for you and you have this inkling and a passion and a desire, and it's down a path that maybe you'd enjoy, I think you really have to explore that. You really have to explore that.
I think it's awesome advice.
Okay, how do you explore that? Depends on what you're interested in. You know, you can find out anything now. It's called the internet. No, literally, I think people overcomplicate this. Find maybe someone who's done it in that space before and reach out to them. Most entrepreneurs who are decent people,
They want to share the story.
They want to share their story.
And help others.
Yeah.
They know the challenges that
like
it comes with.
If I get asked a question, if I don't have time, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to do this, but I'll get back to this tomorrow or something.
Yeah.
But most entrepreneurs understand the struggle. They naturally want to help you with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're going to run into the odd person who won't. So find someone, find a mentor, do that kind of stuff. But you have to start. You have to explore that intuition.
Yeah. I think it's great advice for everyone that's watched. And I think it brings us to that time of the show. It's the Robcast Rapid Ass. So, Jamie, are you ready for some of these questions here?
Let's do it.
All right. You're on death row. We just talked about doing a 7-day fast, so maybe this isn't the first best question, but you're on death row. It's your last meal.
Yep.
What are you getting?
Last meal? Oh, probably pizza.
Just straight up?
I think so. Like,
Is there
I know
a place that is your go-to? is there a pie that's...
Well, I'm a bit of a pizza connoisseur, so I don't want to get too into it. I mean, maybe it would be like a steak or something more like special, but a really good pizza would be good. And I sometimes order the pizza depending on the type of dip the place has.
Wow.
Because I'm a dip guy. So it all depends on the dip. So I won't name a place, but probably...
One of the questions is something that maybe people don't know about you. Now I know you're a dip guy.
I'm a dip guy.
All right, you've worked hard. You've got an afternoon to yourself. It's a beautiful afternoon. What are you doing? Is it a hobby, sport? What are you doing?
Is it just myself?
It's your own time.
My own time, not including my family?
Nope.
My own time? I would probably... If it's my own time, man. I mean, it'd be definitely something outside.
Okay. Are you a golfer? Are you an active? Running?
I'm a big walker, and we didn't get into it, but I'm a big walker. I think it's highly underrated for your overall wellness.
Yep.
I would probably find some buddies and I'm not addicted to golf.
Yeah.
But it's a very good social time with
ties a lot of
buddies.
good things with the walk and the outside and the buddies and the chat.
Yeah, like I could find some best friends, a couple guys I grew up with, and we could get together, you know, and I'm a BC guy, so I don't see them that often, but I would like a good golf afternoon is always fun.
You've got a weekend that you can get away with the family. We're only within 3 hours of Oakville. Where's the spot you like to spend them? Like, is there a special area you go to?
It'd probably be either my sister's cottage, or Kim's aunt's cottage. Either one. And that's
on the water.
On the water.
Nature, trees, all that glorious.
One's Georgian Bay, one's Lake of Bays.
Oh, good mix.
It's like, you know, it's just, yeah, it's gluttonous, but it's amazing.
You've had a successful day. You're jumping in the car. Sunroof opens. What music are you listening to in that car?
My taste is so eclectic, man. I'm like it could be Rage Against the Machine,
okay,
or a female country artist.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter.
Truthfully, I usually let the music come to me,
yeah,
and I just start to feel it.
Turn a little serious and just see what's going on. Yeah.
Exactly. Last question.
Yep.
You have the opportunity to go out for dinner, pick someone's brain, anyone that's alive or dead. Who's that person going to be?
Well, I say you're gonna make me cry, but I won't. So it's funny. I just watched Masters of Air, the band of brothers, the same producers and stuff. So it's about the bombers, World War II, belly gunners. So my one grandfather was a belly gunner, shot down his first flight in World War II, and I didn't know my other grandfather passed away. My mom's side immigrated from Amsterdam.
Okay.
After World War II, right after. So I never had a grandfather. So either of those two, I've never known them. So that's who I would have dinner with for sure.
Jamie, this has been an awesome conversation. I know our listeners have taken a lot from the advice that you've had to give. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Robcast.
Thanks, Rob.